A homeless girl feeds a millionaire. Discover the incredible life-changing secret that was hidden. On a stormy evening, downtown Chicago was alive, yet many faces wore heavy burdens. Among them was Lily, a 15-year-old girl whose life felt like a relentless storm itself. The skies rumbled, mirroring her tumultuous heart. Clad in worn clothes and a rain-soaked hoodie, she navigated her world with a fierce determination that belied her years. It was not that she chose the streets. The streets had chosen her, a harsh reality for a girl who carried the warmth of her grandmother's cooking in every meal she shared. Gazing at the sheltering glow of a diner, she pushed through the door, droplets cascading off her shoulders. Inside, scents of sizzling bacon and fresh coffee mingled, enveloping her like a long-lost embrace. She noticed Ethan, a wealthy entrepreneur, seated in the corner, engrossed in a tablet. His crisp suit contrasted sharply with the diner's cozy decor, a stark reminder of the gulf that separated their worlds. With a smile that lit her face more than any neon sign, she approached him, a bowl of her homemade stew in hand, a masterpiece born from scavenged ingredients. "Would you like to try some?" she asked, her voice warm despite the cold that seeped into the diner. Ethan looked up, surprised by her bravado, but even more so by the sincerity in her eyes. He hesitated, then nodded, captivated by the genuine smile plastered on her face. As he tasted the rich flavors, memories flooded back his grandmother's kitchen, laughter, love. This simple dish, cooked with care, reminded him of everything he had sacrificed for success. Lily leaned closer, sharing snippets of her life, the struggles, and the joy of creating something from nothing. "Food brings us together," she said, her words wrapped in hope and resilience. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue." As word spread through the streets, the diner became a hub of conversation. A millionaire sharing a meal with a homeless girl? The very idea sparked debates, some applauding their bond while others sneered in disbelief. What could they possibly have in common? They whispered, shrouded in their judgments and societal labels. Lily carried herself with dignity, unfazed by the prying eyes. Each day, she cooked and shared, weaving a fabric of connection that transcended her circumstances. One evening, under the glow of streetlights, she revealed her most profound secret to Ethan, her grandmother's legacy, a recipe linked to a family history that crossed barriers and bonded strangers. As they delved deeper into her background, the room thrummed with tension and possibility. In that moment, they stood on the edge of a revelation that could dissolve the boundaries between privilege and poverty. Could love really bridge the distance created by wealth and circumstance? As the storm outside faded, the storm within both Lily and Ethan swirled unabated, each moment pulling them closer to transformations neither had anticipated. Lily stood by Ethan, the air thick with an unspoken bond. Having shared the depths of her struggles, she felt both lighter and heavier. The weight of her past pushed against her heart, yet their connection sparked a light that made the burdens momentarily easy to bear. Ethan leaned forward, his expression shifting from curiosity to admiration. "Tell me more about your grandmother," he urged. She smiled, recalling the laughter that filled their small apartment, the spices wafting through the air as her grandmother worked her magic in the tiny kitchen. "She taught me that cooking wasn't just about food. It was about love. You could wrap your feelings in a dish and share them with someone who needed it." As she spoke, she searched Ethan's face, wanting him to understand that every spoonful of her stew carried more than just flavor. It carried hope. The diner bustled around them, but in that moment, it felt like they were in their own world. The clinking of plates and chatter faded into a gentle hum. Ethan's eyes glimmered with something that felt like recognition. "You've been through so much, yet you share your heart with everyone you meet. It's inspiring." Just then, a homeless man entered the diner, his coat tattered, his shoes full of holes. Lily's instincts took over. She nudged Ethan. "Can we buy him a meal?" she whispered. Ethan hardly hesitated, his nod immediate. They called the man over, and soon, a plate of steaming food sat before him. "Thank you," he mumbled, his eyes reflecting surprise mixed with gratitude. His smile was one Lily recognized all too well, an echo of her own struggle, a flicker of hope ignited by simple kindness. They all sat together, sharing not just food, but stories, laughter, and warmth. For Lily, it was as if each connection knit them all closer together. As night fell and snow began to swirl outside, the diner's windows fogged up with the breath of patrons and warmth inside. Yet, as they shared stories, the cozy atmosphere contrasted with the frigid reality that awaited Lily outside. Ethan's laughter filled the air, yet beneath it lingered a heaviness, the understanding that their lives were vastly different. "Lily," he said, his voice hushed but intense, "I want to help you." His admission surprised her. She had spent so long surviving, guarding her heart, that she wasn't quite sure how to respond. "I mean, what if we started something together? Your grandmother's recipes, think about how many people could benefit from those meals." Her heart raced at the thought. But how could I do that? Doubt crept in like shadows. Could a girl from the streets really change anything? "Listen," Ethan urged, leaning closer. "You already are. You've brought people together. You've taught me more in one night than I've learned from thousands spent in boardrooms." A flicker of hope ignited within her. But as quickly as it came, fear grasped her heart. The thought of failure loomed large. What if this was just another dream that could fade away as quickly as it ignited? The storm didn't just rage outside. It brewed within her. "What if I'm not good enough?" she whispered, her eyes downcast. Ethan's presence enveloped her like a protective shield. "You are enough, Lily. You just need to believe it." In that moment, her gaze met his. A swell of emotions passed between them, courage, uncertainty, and an undeniable spark of possibility. Could she really step into a new life? With renewed determination, she took a breath, the weight of their conversation pressing against her like the falling snow outside. But before she could voice her fears, the diner's door swung open again, this time revealing a figure from her past, a face she never wanted to see again. The familiar figure stood there, and suddenly, Lily's world felt unstable once more. Who was this person, and what did they want? The door swung shut behind the figure, sending a gust of frosty air into the diner. Lily's heart dropped, her pulse quickening. It couldn't be. Not now, not here. The scent of toasted bread and simmering stew faded, replaced by a metallic taste in her mouth as recognition grabbed her. "Lily," the figure called, stepping closer. It was Tommy, an old acquaintance from the cracks of her past, a reminder of everything she had fought to escape. Dread wrapped around her throat like an icy noose. "What are you doing here?" she managed to say, her voice barely a whispered tremor. She felt Ethan's presence shift beside her, his protective aura infused with tension. Tommy brushed snow from his hair, his eyes scanning the diner before landing on her. "I've been looking for you," he replied, his tone mixed with urgency and something softer, maybe regret. "I need to talk." Lily recoiled. The last time they had crossed paths, it had left scars deeper than any wound. "You don't get to just show up out of nowhere. You don't get to talk to me," she spat, her words sharper than the cold outside. "You don't understand," he pressed, taking a step forward. "Things have changed." "What? You've suddenly become a philanthropist." She shot back, her heart racing with anger. She felt the weight of the world settle on her shoulders again, as if the burdens she had just begun to lift were crashing back down. Ethan shifted in his seat, eyes darting between them. His grip tightened, an unspoken plea for her to stay calm. "Lily, you don't have to," he started, but the words escaped her like steam from a boiling pot. "This isn't a game, Tommy. You think you can just waltz back into my life after everything I know I messed up?" he interrupted, his voice dropping low. "I was wrong. I didn't see how much you needed help." Lily's breath stilled. She couldn't afford to be vulnerable again. The years had taught her that trust was a fragile thing. "What could you possibly offer me now?" she challenged, struggling to keep the tremor from her voice. "I found something out. About your grandmother." Tommy hesitated, a streak of uncertainty painted across his features. There's something she left behind, something meaningful. And it connects to you, to your dreams." Her heart raced, confusion and interest battling within her. It felt like a trap, a lure dragged across the water, but there was a flicker of intrigue that she couldn't ignore. Ethan watched her, his eyes imploring. Lily, you don't have to hear him out if you don't want to. I'll be right here, okay? Just take a breath. Lily's mind swirled as she fought the unfamiliar urge to confront her past. But maybe, just maybe, this was the moment when she could reclaim what was lost. What do you mean? She finally asked, her voice steadier but tinged with wariness. Tommy took a breath, emboldened. I know how to reach the people who would care about your grandmother's legacy. About what you want to do with those recipes. We can rebuild this together. For the first time in years, the stark possibility of her dreams was wrapped in anxiety. On one side stood the man who had betrayed her trust, and on the other, the stranger who was quickly becoming a tether to a brighter future. Could she really allow herself to step into this unknown? The weight of her decision loomed large. The diner faded away as she weighed her options, heart pounding. What if this only leads to more pain? She whispered. Then we handle it together, Tommy insisted, his expression earnest. You don't have to face this alone. The snow outside continued to fall, blanketing the world in quiet desolation. But within her, the storm raged on equal parts fear and hope. Everything felt fragile, just one choice away from shattering or soaring. With an aching silence hanging between them, Lily hesitated. Could she trust again? Would she risk it all for the feeling of possibility? And somewhere in that charged moment, she wondered, was it time to release the chains of her past, and if so, at what cost? The sound of crumpling paper shook Lily from her thoughts. It was Ethan, who had been gripping the edge of the table tightly, as if willing the ground beneath them to still. He leaned forward slightly, his brow furrowed with concern. Lily, listen, he began, his voice measured but firm. You don't owe him anything. This is your life. Your dreams. The tension in the air crackled like static. Tommy stood there, seemingly unfazed by Ethan's protectiveness. I get it. I messed up. But this is your chance, Lily, he urged, desperation creeping into his voice. You could finally do something with your grandmother's recipes. You've always wanted this. Lily looked at Tommy, then swiftly to Ethan, whose eyes mirrored her own struggle. Could she really carve out a future based on the echoes of a past that almost swallowed her whole? Think about how happy it would make her, Tommy continued, sensing her wavering resolve. She believed in you, and the legacy she left could be something beautiful. Her mind flooded with memories, days spent in the kitchen, the warmth of her grandmother's laughter, the spicy scent of simmering sauce that intertwined with tales of family and tradition. For years, those memories dulled to a distant hum, shadows of happier times. Now, they beckoned with the promise of something new, but as visions of flourishing success filled her head, a darker thread wove through them. Fear snaked its way back into her heart. What if this was just another way for Tommy to hurt her, to lead her into danger again? And what do you get out of this? She spat, narrowing her eyes at him. What's in it for you, Tommy? His expression shifted, earnestness turning to regret. Honestly, I just want to make things right. I need to make things right. For you and for me. Lily's heart ached at that admission. Could he really be genuine? Or was this just another mask he was wearing to pull her in? Please, he pressed, stepping closer. Let me show you. We can walk this path together. Just give me a chance. His voice softened, losing its urgency. I don't want to lose you again. Ethan's jaw tightened at Tommy's words. But before he could speak, Lily held up a hand. This isn't just about me, Tommy. This affects everyone. If I fail, it won't just be my dreams that shatter at echo through my family's name. Do you understand that? The rawness of her words struck a chord. Tommy nodded. I do understand. And I believe you can do this. You have to trust yourself, even if you don't trust me yet. A heavy silence hung in the air, settling over the table like a weight. Lily looked between the two men, the past and the hopeful future. There was power there, but with it, a painful uncertainty. What do I have to lose? She thought, feeling the adrenaline surge in her veins. The stakes were high, but maybe that was where the thrill of living lay. With her heart pounding, she took a deep breath. Okay, she finally said, her voice steady. But if I do this, there isn't room for mistakes. No more lies. No more games. Hope filled the space around them, igniting the possibilities. But as she spoke, doubt lingered like the fading fragrance of her grandmother's stew, a reminder of what could still be at stake. Just one thing, she added, locking her gaze with Tommy's. If we do this, you have to promise not to disappear again. I promise, he said, sincerity unwavering. A new chapter was beginning, and as Lily felt the shift in air around her, she knew she was stepping off the edge. A leap of faith, where the ground beneath her was uncertain, but the sky ahead was filled with possibility. Could she truly rebuild what had been shattered, or would the past come racing back to reclaim its hold? Lily sat back in her chair, the weight of her decision settling on her chest like a heavy stone. She stared at the table, lost in thought, while Ethan and Tommy exchanged glances, the air between them thick with unspoken words. She could feel the heat of their eyes on her, a mix of hope and apprehension. What now? Lily finally whispered, her voice barely cutting through the silence. Ethan leaned in, his expression softening. We start planning. This isn't just about following your grandmother's recipes. It's about building something real. Tommy nodded eagerly, his enthusiasm evident. Right. We need to pick a menu, stuff that speaks from your past, but also feels fresh. We can make it something special, worth sharing. Lily's heart raced. They were moving forward, and she felt a spark ignite in her chest. Okay, I'll dig out the old recipes. I remember some of them vividly. Tommy's eyes gleamed. Let us make a timeline. We can have tastings, maybe even host a pop-up dinner to test the waters. As he spoke, her mind whirled with possibilities. Yet, just as quickly as excitement flooded in, a familiar doubt tugged at her insides. What if no one likes it? She asked quietly, voice trembling. What if this all just ends badly? Ethan reached across the table, placing a comforting hand over hers. You're not alone in this, Lily. You have us. Trust yourself and trust us. His sincerity wrapped around her like a warm blanket. She looked at him, noticing the way his hazel eyes sparkled with belief. It was something she had almost forgotten existed, a kind of encouragement that made taking risks feel a little less scary. A smile broke through her uncertainty. All right then, let us do this. A sense of determination replaced the doubt, but the pulse of anxiety still drummed beneath the surface. They spent the next hours mapping out ideas, her grandmother's recipes cascading like a vibrant waterfall of memories and flavors. Lily felt her heart race as she pulled an old, flour-stained notebook from the shelf. The faded pages filled with handwritten notes and doodles transported her to the past, the way the kitchen would come alive with laughter and clinking utensils. Baba's lasagna, the cardamom cake, she exclaimed, pointing at the recipes that felt like echoes of her grandmother's spirit. Tommy grinned like a kid on Christmas morning. Imagine the looks on people's faces when they taste those. As they brainstormed, plans taking shape, a sudden thought jolted through her. What if someone from the family finds out? What if they want to stop me? Ethan's brow knitted with concern. Who could? Your family supports you, right? Her thoughts raced back, flickering scenes of family gatherings and the whispers of her relatives. Not all of them. Tommy looked confused. What do you mean? Lily took a deep breath, feeling a lump in her throat. There's a reason I stepped away from all this. Silence descended again, thick and solemn. The weight of the past threatened to unravel the threads of hope they had woven together. Would she let her fear define her future again? I can't go back to that life, she murmured, her voice laced with vulnerability. You won't have to, Ethan promised, squeezing her hand. We're not going to let you. For a moment, comfort washed over her. But the shadows of doubt loomed, sinister yet familiar. Would they truly stand by her side? Okay, she exhaled, determination flaring. Let us plan. But we must be cautious. Suddenly, the realization hit her that she was ready to fight for her dreams, even if the road ahead was fraught with shadows of her past. Just then, her phone buzzed on the table, a text message lighting up the screen. She hesitated, a chill trailing down her spine as she read the name, Mom. Her heart sank. Had they found out about her plans? What more could they take from her? Lily's breath quickened as she opened the message. What if this was the moment that changed everything? Or would it reveal the dark arms of her past, ready to pull her back? Her heart pounded against her ribcage, a frantic drum echoing in her ears. Lily's fingers trembled as she read the words on the screen. We need to talk. Your father is worried about you. The message felt like a weight pressing down on her, wrapping around her throat with a tightening grip. Ethan leaned closer, concerned. What does it say? She hesitated, her heart racing. It's my mom. She's worried about me. Tommy's expression shifted from excitement to caution. What does that mean? Are they going to try and stop you? Lily felt heat rise in her cheeks. I don't know yet. She couldn't shake the feeling that this was the beginning of the storm she had been trying to escape. Ethan's grip tightened on her hand. You don't have to respond right away. Remember why you're doing this. Taking a deep breath, she placed the phone down like it was a hot coal. Her gaze swept over the ingredients they had laid out: the vibrant produce, the bags of flour, the spices that smelled like home. They were a reminder of possibility, a stark contrast to the tension pooling in her chest. I want this, she said, voice steady but quiet. But this feels like a lot to juggle. Tommy nodded, his eyes serious. It's okay to be scared. What matters is how you move forward. Right? She nodded, inhaling deeply. Let me just think. They began to brainstorm again, each idea sparking joy in her heart. Yet, the gnawing anxiety wouldn't fully fade. Whenever she lifted her head, her mind trickled back to the family weight hanging over her, the unspoken expectations feeling like chains. Hours passed as they worked, and the kitchen transformed around them from just a place of memories to a plan of action, buzzing with energy. But every so often, her phone would catch her eye, its presence a looming shadow. Finally, in a moment of restless resolve, she grabbed it and typed, "Can I come over later?" The reply was immediate. Of course. We need to discuss important things. Lily shut her eyes for a second, summoning inner strength. Important things, she muttered under her breath. Ethan shot her a look. You okay? She took a moment before nodding. Yeah, I just really need to know where I stand with them and with myself. They wrapped up for the day, making plans for their next meeting, the atmosphere buzzing with hope. Still, Lily felt the tangled knot in her gut unravel only slightly. I'll take care of it. I swear, she told Ethan and Tommy as they left, her voice firmer than her heart felt. That night, the walls of her childhood home encased her as she stepped inside, saturated with memories etched into the wood and tile, the aroma of her mother's cooking drifting faintly through the hall. She had almost forgotten how it felt to return, the familiarity both soothing and suffocating. Lily, her mother's voice rang out as she entered the kitchen. You're home. Lily plastered on a smile, trying to ignore the heavy uncertainty that had settled again. Hey, Mom. I got your message. Her mother looked at her, that unmistakable mix of love and worry painting her features. I just want to understand what you're doing with your life. It's not like you to disappear. Lily swallowed, the words stuck in her throat. I'm trying to bring something back. Her mother's brows knitted. Bring back what? Before she could answer, a sudden loud knock echoed from the front door. The weight of dread hit her. Who could disrupt this fragile moment? Lily glanced at her mother, whose eyes widened. Who is it? I don't know, Lily whispered. The air grew thick with tension, both of them frozen in place. The knocking came again, louder this time, as if demanding to be answered. With her heart racing, Lily's breath caught in her throat as she approached the door. What now? Was this the moment when everything shifted, or when it all came crashing down? Lily reached for the doorknob, her palms slick with sweat. Every muscle in her body tightened as she turned it slowly, half expecting the weight of everything she'd been avoiding to spill through the entrance. When she opened the door, her breath caught once more. Standing there was a tall figure, cloaked in the shadows of dusk. It took a moment for her eyes to adjust and recognize the familiar face. Matt, she breathed, her heart skipping. He was her childhood friend, the boy with bright blue eyes and an easy smile that used to light up a room. But now, those eyes carried a weight, a seriousness that startled her. Can I come in? He asked, his voice low and urgent. Lily glanced back at her mother, who lingered in the kitchen doorway, confusion etched on her features. Yeah, okay, she replied hesitantly, stepping aside. Matt entered, still looking around the space like it was a ghost of what used to be. The kitchen walls, once vibrant with laughter and shared meals, felt too quiet, too tight. Lily, we really need to talk, he said. Her heart sank at the gravity in his tone. Is everything okay? He shook his head and ran a hand through his disheveled hair. No, it's not okay. It's actually really bad. I don't know how else to say this, things aren't good for my family. What do you mean? Panic flared in her chest. Did something happen? It's my dad. Matt hesitated, the words clearly weighing heavily. He lost his job, and we're on the brink of losing everything. Lily felt a twinge of empathy, Their families had once been intertwined by friendship and shared experiences. But now, that connection felt strained and warped. I'm so sorry, Matt. That's awful. He stepped further inside, looking more vulnerable than she ever remembered. That's not the worst part. I came because, well, we need help. We could lose our home, and I didn't know who else to turn to. Lily's mind raced. Thoughts of her own worries about her parents collided with the image of Matt, a boy she had seen as invincible, now standing in front of her, desperate. Help. I don't know how I can help you, she stammered, guilt twisting in her stomach. You can there's a way, he said, a hint of hope dawning in his eyes. I know about your plans. About the project you're starting with Ethan and Tommy. If you could just partner with us, I believe we can make something happen together. Her mother, who had remained silent until now, stepped forward. Lily, is this something you think you can do? It sounds complicated. Lily's pulse echoed in her ears. Could she juggle her growing ambitions with the urgent needs of her old friend? The heaviness of pressure weighed down on her, as conflicting hopes pulled her in every direction. I just want to help, she finally said, voice shaking. But I need to figure out what this means for me. Matt nodded, desperation mingling with gratitude in his expression. Just think about it. We can discuss more tomorrow. I need to go, but I'm hoping I can count on you. As he stepped back into the night, Lily felt a confusing mix of emotions swirl inside her. She glanced at her mother, who wore a concerned frown. Are you really ready to take on all of this? Her mother asked gently, concern lining her words. I think I might have to, Lily whispered, uncertainty bubbling in her throat. Could she balance her project, her relationship with her family, and now Matt's struggle? The weight of everything on her shoulders threatened to suffocate her. But at that moment, something shifted within her. Maybe this was an opportunity to make a difference, to help not just herself but those she cared about as well. As she prepared for bed, she could feel a new kind of fire igniting in her spirit. Maybe the storm wasn't just a threat, it could lead to something new, something powerful. But would she be strong enough to weather it? The sunlight crept through the curtains, its soft rays stirring Lily from her restless sleep. Dreams of mounting pressures and uncertainty lingered in her mind like a fog. She sat up, her heart fluttering as she remembered Matt's words. The urgency in his voice echoed, reminding her of the weight she now felt on her shoulders, his struggles pulling her in like a riptide. Breakfast felt different that morning. Her mother moved around the kitchen, a furrow of worry etched on her brow as she poured coffee into a mug. Silence filled the space, thick with unspoken thoughts. Lily picked at her toast, each bite tasting like guilt. Would agreeing to help Matt jeopardize everything she was working towards? Hey, you okay? Her mother asked, concern flooding her voice. Lily nodded, forcing a smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. Just thinking. Her mother leaned against the counter, arms crossed. Thinking about Matt? Yeah. Lily hesitated, unsure of how to put her thoughts into words. I just feel like I have to do something. But what if it's too much? Her mother sighed, pausing to consider her words. It's great that you want to help him, but you also need to take care of yourself. Balance is important. The conversation felt like a tightrope walk, delicate and precarious. Lily wanted to honor her mother's wisdom, but the aching desire to support Matt grew stronger. When school came, the day dragged on, every minute heavier than the last. In class, she found it hard to pay attention. Instead, her mind wandered to plans with Ethan and Tommy and how she could mesh those with Matt's needs. Each thought spiraled into another, filling her head until it ached. After classes, Lily met up with Ethan and Tommy at their usual hangout spot, a small cafe with overstuffed chairs and free Wi-Fi. Hey guys, she called, forcing enthusiasm into her voice. Feeling better today? Tommy asked, raising an eyebrow as he tucked a loose strand of hair behind his ear. Sure, I guess, she replied, avoiding their gazes as the truth simmered just beneath the surface. I had an idea on our project, Ethan piped up, his fingers dancing over the keyboard of his laptop. What if we focused on community involvement? You know, something to help those in need? Lily's heart raced. That could work. We could organize a fundraising event or a drive. It might help Matt's family, too. Both boys looked at her, confusion shadowing their faces. Wait, what do you mean? Ethan asked. Suddenly, the idea of intertwining their project with Matt's needs felt like a lifeline pulling everyone forward together. Matt's family is struggling. They might lose their home if I don't do something to help. Wow, Lily, Tommy exclaimed softly, that's huge. Are you sure you're ready to take all this on? I think I have to be, she said, determination trembling in her voice. We can be a part of something bigger than us. It could make a real difference. As they brainstormed, the spark of hope ignited again, filling her with purpose. Each idea they tossed around felt like the first step toward something meaningful. Lily could see it. A community rallying behind a cause, bringing light into the shadows of despair. But in the back of her mind, anxiety whispered, what if they failed? What if her involvement only made things worse? That night, as Lily lay awake, staring at the ceiling, she wondered, could they really pull this off? She felt caught between the desire to help her friend and the fear of taking on too much. With resolve building in her heart, she turned over, closing her eyes and whispering a silent prayer for clarity. But just as she was beginning to drift off, her phone buzzed. Matt's name lit up the screen, a sudden urgency returning. Lily, can we meet? I need to talk. She sat up, pulse racing. What could it be? Her heart twisted, teetering on the edge of fear and hope. She couldn't shake the feeling that something pivotal was about to unfold. Was she truly ready for whatever was coming next? Lily's heart pounded in her chest as she kept staring at Matt's text, her thoughts racing faster than before. Where? She typed back, her fingers trembling slightly. The response came almost immediately. The old park, by the swings. Please. She tossed her phone onto the bed with a mixture of anxiety and determination. The old park held countless memories, both innocent and bittersweet. It was where they had laughed as kids, but now, it felt like a place burdened with serious discussions. Finding her worn sneakers, she glanced in the bathroom mirror. The girl staring back at her looked determined, yet fragile, like a wildflower battling a storm. She took a deep breath, trying to calm the whirlwind inside her, and headed out. The sun was setting, casting a warm orange glow that painted the world around her in soft hues, yet the colors felt distant, almost muted. As she approached the park, the swings creaked in the light breeze, beckoning her to come closer. Matt was sitting on one of the swings, the way he always did, head slightly downcast. As she neared, she could see his fingers gripping the chain tightly. It was a stance of someone weighed down by more than just his own thoughts. Hey, she said softly, sitting on the swing next to him. He looked up, the familiar warmth of his smile slightly dimmed. Thanks for coming. The tension hung heavily between them, thick as fog. You sounded serious, Lily prompted, her voice barely above a whisper. He hesitated, taking a deep breath. I got my mom's medical bills today. It's worse than I thought. I don't know how we're going to make it. Lily felt her stomach knot. She had feared for this moment, but the reality hit harder than she had imagined. How much are we talking about? He paused again, swallowing hard. Around 3 months' rent. I have no way to pay this, and if we don't, we could lose everything. I didn't want you to worry, but I'm scared, Lily. His voice trembled with the weight of words that carried the burden of hopelessness. Lily's heart ached for him, for both of them. This was more than just a financial issue. Their friendship, their shared lives, everything seemed to hang in the balance. What do you need? She asked, her voice steadier than she felt. If there's anything I can do, can we do the fundraiser? He blurted out, his eyes igniting with desperation. I know you wanted to help, but what if what if we did it together? The idea sparked in her mind, both thrilling and terrifying. That's a lot to take on, Matt. What if it's not enough? He leaned forward, urgency palpable in his voice. We have to try? I can't just sit here and watch everything fall apart. I need you, Lily. I can't do it alone. Her heart sank as she weighed his plea against her own fears. She could feel the edges of doubt creeping in, but looking at him, she saw more than desperation. She saw a flickering flame of hope trying to weather the storm. Okay, she finally said, her voice firm. But we're in this together. I won't let you fight this alone. Matt gave a weak smile, a hint of gratitude shining through the darkness. But behind it, she could sense the deeper weight he carried. As they began to discuss the logistics of the fundraiser, laughter broke into their conversation tentatively at first, slowly building into full-blown excitement. For a moment, the shadows lifted, replaced by hope. But even in that glimmer of light, Lily's mind churned with questions. How would they even pull it off? Could their small efforts truly make the difference they needed? You think we can really do this? she asked, her voice softer, almost vulnerable as they concluded their plans and stood to leave. I have to believe we can, Matt replied, determination resurfacing in his gaze. And so do you. With those words hanging in the air, they walked home together, a fragile alliance formed in the face of adversity, yet the weight of uncertainty loomed large. Little did they know, their journey would lead to twists they never saw coming. The following day, the sun shone brighter in Chicago, as if it were heralding the birth of possibility for Lily and Matt. With a caffeine-fueled energy buzzing between them, they met at the cafe with Ethan and Tommy. The plan had transformed overnight, morphing from a simple project into a full-hearted initiative aimed at empowering their community by tackling hunger. Tell me everything, Ethan said, his eyes wide and eager as they settled into a booth with their notepads in hand. What is the plan? Lily inhaled deeply, her heart racing with excitement, nervousness, and hope. We're starting a fundraiser. A pop-up dinner featuring my grandmother's recipes. It'll raise money not just for Matt's family, but also for the local shelters. Kind of like a 2-for-1 special. Tommy grinned, nodding with enthusiasm. That's genius. It's a way to feed souls and spirits. Lily's chest swelled with pride, a smile dancing across her lips. We'll call it Taste of Home. Keep it warm, filled with love, just like she did. She envisioned the bustling kitchen, aromas wafting through the air, laughter spilling out, and hands joining together over pots and pans. Let us get started on creating a timeline, and we can post about it on social media. Ethan jumped in, typing furiously on his laptop. But as the caffeine buzz settled, uncertainty wove back into the narrative, cast shadows on their plans. What if we fall short? What if we can't raise enough money? Lily murmured, the flicker of doubt creeping back. Lily, Matt's steady gaze turned to her. We will handle this like a team. It's not about perfection, it's about the effort. We can truly make a difference. His belief rallied her spirit, and they forged ahead, laying the groundwork for their adventure. As days unfolded, reaching out to local businesses became their mission. They sought donations for ingredients and supplies to bolster their gathering, knocking on doors, meeting folks with irritable expressions, and being met with some disinterest. Yet progress began speckling the horizon, as more hands joined in, friends, strangers, families curious about the cause behind their mission. The day before their pop-up, the excitement buzzed like a live wire. They prepped the ingredients, slicing vegetables and mixing spices, creating something special that was as much about food as it was about bringing the community together. Each stirring of the pot was reminiscent of her grandmother, filling the air with warmth once more. That evening, the diner hummed with life. Crowds formed lines, eager faces radiating excitement and anticipation. Eyes sparkled with connection, laughter ringing out like music. Ethan stood at the entrance, beaming proudly as the first guests arrived. Welcome to Taste of Home, he exclaimed, arms outstretched. Lily stood by the kitchen window, watching as memories melded into something beautiful, a tapestry woven from struggles shared, stories connected, and meals that nourished. As the event unfolded, Matt and Lily moved through the crowd, greeting guests wholeheartedly. It felt like magic. But when they finally huddled together around the serving table, mounds of food glistening under the warm lights, she held her breath. Their moment of truth hovered in the air. Together, we created something amazing, Lily declared, her heart echoing the sentiment all around them. And then, just like that, their first guests took a bite. Conversations flowed, smiles washed over faces, grateful tears mingling with memories. Lily caught a glimpse of Ethan's eyes shining as diners dug into her grandmother's lasagna. The beauty of it all felt like a new dawn. It encapsulated resilience and hope, a shared meal blossoming into possibility. By the end of the night, accomplishments glittered like stars. They raised more than enough money not only for Matt's family, but also for the local shelters. As the last guest departed, joy and exhaustion tangled within Lily like a comforting embrace. The triumph extended beyond finances. It was the connections they built, the purpose they ignited, but the evening wouldn't end without confronting the shadows once more. Just as they began to clean up, Matt's expression shifted, worry brewing behind his smile. Lily, I still need to tell my parents we raised money. Her heart sank, uncertainty rippling. What do you think they will say? I don't know, he murmured, a flicker of fear in his eyes. It was the unyielding weight of the past creeping back in, yet Lily squeezed his hand firmly. No matter what they say, we did this together. You're facing it head-on, and so am I. Those words echoed across their experiences, evoking a sense of empowerment. Together, they embraced the uncertainty that as they finished their cleanup. Laughter rang out again as Ethan joked about becoming the next Food Network star. They laughed, cementing the new bonds formed, as hope mingled with the aroma of success. Lily looked around at the faces of the people she had come to care for so much, their breath, their struggles, and knew the real journey was just beginning. Life had storms, yes, but it also had moments of light breaking through. With every step forward, Lily embraced her past, while stepping into the future with open arms. The storm had transformed her. She was no longer just a girl from the streets. She was a beacon of empowerment, hope, and connection. The next step awaited her, looming on the horizon, but she welcomed it, ready to take on whatever came her way because she understood with certainty now that she had a family, a community, and the love of those who would stand alongside her. And she felt it intensely, purposefully as she wrapped her arms around a new life that awaited, blooming before her, rooted in the rich history she carried, deep within her heart. Now go on. You need to subscribe now to not miss the next exclusive stories that will inspire and ignite your dreams. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. Every click counts to keep these incredible stories alive. Comment below to share your thoughts, your reactions, and how this story touched you. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Show your support and help spread hope.